I'm in Shenandoah National Park, and this is, I'm in Berry Hollow at the bottom of Oldrag Mountain. And this is the Berry Hollow parking area. There's the road I came up on. And there's a lot here, gravel lot. Yep, there's my little red car. I don't know, there might be space for a dozen cars here. And I'm planning to hike to the summit of Oldrag Mountain. Now, I'll explain when I do my map talk. I'm gonna hike up from the south, which is, let's call it the back way up, which will take me past the old village of Oldrag and a few other interesting things. So I'm going to close up my car and I'm going to head up this way. There's a chain across the road here. And we're going to head on up. It's about a mile up to Oldrag Village. And then we'll hang a right and we'll start the steeper part of the climb up to the summit. The elevation here is 1,520 feet. Eight-tenths of a mile into my hike, I'm up to 1,950 feet, and this is the crossroads that was once the village of Oldrag, Virginia. That way heads up to the summit. I'll be going that way. Down that way is Berry Hollow. That's where my car's parked, down there about a mile. This road here, where this sign is, excuse me, that road that goes up to the left, that eventually heads up to, if you follow it far enough, it'll take you up to Skyland. The one that branches off to the right is a loop back to the regular Oldrag parking lot. I'm not sure what this car is doing parked here. And then there's an information sign here. So I will get some pictures of that, and then we're going to continue on up to the summit. I'm at 1,950 feet. The summit's up around, I don't know, 3,700 feet. So we got a ways to go. That signpost there says it's two trail miles up to the summit from here. So, and there's 2 shelters on the way up, so we'll check them out. So I saw a little beaten path heading off to the right, so I followed it back to here. Looks like a camping place. No fires allowed in the park, but there you go. But this area in through here, man, this is nice. There's a lot of tall trees here, so the grass and the underbrush is at a minimum. There's plenty of places you could pitch a tent or hammocks. Pretty nice back in here. I'll mark this with my GPS. And there's the path heading back to the main trail. .3 miles into my hike, I'm up to 2,100 feet. And this is the Oldrag Shelter. There's a sign over there that says this is day use only. No overnight camping allowed here. Although I think there might be some primitive campsites behind. Ouch, flies are biting me. Anyway, that's the Oldrag Shelter. I see a picnic table. I see a fire pit here. And normally where there would be bunks in here, if it was for overnight, you can see there's nothing here, just a dirt floor and graffiti. So anyway, this is what it looks like here. There is a picnic table. Hello, snakes. Picnic table. And then over the edge here, I can hear water. So this trail right here probably takes you down to the water. So I'm going to continue on up. Oh, and I think there may be some privies over here. I'll see if I can find them. I think they may have upgraded them to the composting type. We'll see. And then I'm going to continue on up the hill here. The next stop would be Bird's Nest Shelter number 1, which is getting fairly high up on the mountain. Yep, there it is. The composting privy. The composting crib is down there. It's got 2 sides, and every so often they'll take that top off and slide the outhouse over on that side, and then stir the compost up, and then put this roof over there, and move the ramp, of course. So. Two miles into my hike, I'm up to 2,660 feet, and I stepped out on this little ledge. It's a little bit of an observation. It's the first one that I've come across. Let's see, that's looking towards the west, and then this is more looking towards the north, this way. 2.4 miles into my hike. I'm up to 2,880 feet. And this is Bird's Nest Shelter number 1. I think there's 4 of them in the park, in the entirety of Shenandoah Park. This is number 1. The trail's over there. And when I get, I got to drink some water and rest here up a little bit. When I get done doing that, I continue on up to the summit, up that way. It's about a half a mile from here up to the summit. Here's the front of the shelter. The trail's over there. In there, there's a picnic table that can be eaten in a shelter or dragged out here to be in the sun. And let's see. This is closed off now. It's not used as a shelter anymore. It's used for maintenance, trail maintenance. That might be a rock fire pit over there. I'll go a little closer and see. So I'm going to find a place to sit out on one of these rocks and drink some water. Whew, it's a long climb up here. I've been climbing for, what, 2.4 miles. Nothing but climbing, and I'm still not to the top. See that big copper wire going down to the ground? Up past the Bird's Nest sign. Lightning rod. There's one on the other end too. .8 miles into my hike. I'm climbing through 3,000 feet now. I'm up to 3,030 feet. That's the way I came from. That's the ridge trail coming up from Bird's Nest Shelter. And here's one of the neighboring mountains over there. And this is what the trail looks like. It's really steep, really rocky from here to the top. So let's see, according to my GPS, I got about another 0.2 of a mile to go. But, you know, that's straight line distance. So it could be 2 or 3 tenths on the trail. .8 miles into my hike. I'm up to 3,090 feet. I'm not quite up to the summit yet. Still climbing. Here's a little bit of a view from here. There's this great big humongous flat rock here, and there's the trail heading up to the summit. .2 miles into my hike. The elevation here is 3290. I'm at the summit. Well, that rock right there is actually the absolute summit, but I don't think I'm going to climb up there. Whew! So it's about a 3-hour climb from down the parking lot to get up here. some of the other high rocks up here, down there in the valley. And then here's the absolute tippy top right here, and then the trail is back down that way. I'm standing out on another great big flat rock. There's a half a dozen of them or so up here you can stand out on without being in too much peril. I gotta find a shady spot so I can drink some water. Here, look at this rock. Great big humongous thing. And then back that way is the trail. .8 miles into my hike. I'm down off the summit now. The elevation here is 2,900 feet. I'm back to Bird's Nest Shelter. Whew, starting to get hot now. Let's see, it's 81 degrees in the shade. So, I got about probably 2.5, 3 more miles to get back down to my car, but it's downhill all the way. I gotta stop here and drink some water. This is a map of today's hike. The quadrangle name is Oldrag Mountain, 1994, and I hiked Oldrag up to the summit. Now, I did it from the back side of the mountain instead of the front side. Normally, you park up here not too far from Nethers, Virginia, and you take this trail right here up to the summit. The summit is right there where that X mark is. And this section right in through here on the normal hike is a rock scramble, quite a bit of a rock scramble. And I've done that before. I have videos on it on my YouTube channel. What I did was I parked here, which is in Berry Hollow, and came up the back way. I came up the fire road from Berry Hollow up to here. This crossroads right here is where the village of Oldrag, Virginia was, right here in this area. When you get to the crossroads, there's an informational sign you can look at, but you turn right and start heading up this way. When you get to here, this is the first of two shelters. This one's called the Oldrag Shelter. There's a composting privy there if you need to use that, and a day use only on the shelter. Then you continue on up. This is called the Saddle Trail, which takes you up to a saddle area in the mountain right here. Bird's Nest number 1 shelter's here. Now that shelter, this shelter has been closed off. You can't, it's not used as a shelter anymore. PATC and the Park Service use it for trail maintenance. I presume they have tools stored in there so they don't have to drag them up and down the side of the mountain all the time. But there's some rocks and so forth that you can rest here. Then you get on this ridge trail and follow this on up to the summit here. And then back down to my car like this. Now this hike is quite a climb. Ended up being 6.1 miles with a total ascent of 1,832 feet. So that's quite a bit of ascent. Now let me show you the old map. This is Stony Man, 1929, and Berry Hollow's down here where I started, and right there is the crossroads I'm talking about, which is Oldrag, Virginia. When they created Shenandoah National Park, this village became extinct because everybody that lived here got kicked off the mountain. But all these little black squares you see were homesteads. Right there is a square with a flag on it. That's their indication for a school and so forth. There's also one more map that the Park Service puts out. You'll want to study this one because this pink area here, to hike in this pink area, you have to have a day use ticket. You go to recreation.gov. Right now they only cost $1, but I expect later on they'll raise the price. But for now you can go on to recreation.gov and get a ticket online for $1. And that was the hike for today.